Hi, very warm welcome to eRacing GP Global Edition. We are on Season 6, remarkably. Des Corkle alongside Alex Young. We're at the Mid-Ohio circuit today. We've got silver and gold still to come. That's one of 4 categories that we have in eRGP. Here are the 4, and we already have champions have been crowned. In the copper class for Yang Ming Chu, Axel Nokon from the Philippines has just won the bronze class. Ng Jun Cheng is in fine form and fine position in the silver class. And later on, Nakib Aslan, he holds a big lead in the gold class, but still plenty to be decided on the racetrack over the next couple of hours. In the silver class, Ng Jun Cheng has got that big lead. It's 30 points that he is clear of Darren Ivan Rajan. So we'll need a catastrophe for him to lose out today. But don't forget, we have got 40 points available for the winner, plus 4 points for the fastest lap, plus 5 points for qualification. So Darren Ivan isn't necessarily out of the reckoning. And Tunku Djan, who we thought had his first win of the season last week, he was actually relegated down to 3rd for being a bad lad. But he is in the championship reckoning as well. Also look out for Voltaire Seiko and Mohamed Zini. In the Nations Cup, Malaysia, massive 983 points accumulated over the season so far. I don't think we've had a nation who've accumulated 1,000 in a season. That is bound to be passed today. Philippines and Singapore all above 500. And in the Teams Cup, it's Stratos Motorsports, 426 points, who lead the way ahead of Blue Steel Racing, FSA Racing 219, Sim Racing Filipinas, the best of the Filipinas, and the Academy close to Alex Young's heart on 169. So that gives you just a very quick introduction. Quick comment, Alex, before we get into the silver class. Young racers have won both copper and bronze. You must be very happy.
Yeah, it is great. I mean, when I first got into this e-racing in a more higher level, I suppose, in more detail, I thought you really have to be in your teenagers to really appreciate it. But I'm just amazed how these 8 and 9-year-olds are coming into this and doing so well. You know, Axel Nokon won bronze championship. When he first started, okay, you could see him just figuring out how to drive the car. And then he kind of got the driving, but the racecraft was awful, you know, and kept crashing into people. But now the racecraft is super good as well. I've seen some brilliant round the outside overtakes from Axel this season, which, you know, it takes a long time to learn. You know, you have to have really good awareness of the surrounding around you, and the way Nokon does that is pretty impressive.
Okay, that was the bronze and copper we've just been speaking about. Yep. Let's move our attention to silver. We're racing around the Mid-Ohio circuit, which is a good little circuit. It's 3.6 kilometers long, clockwise with 13 corners. Overtaking spots, Alex?
Definitely lots. Turn 1's not really overtaking spot because there's not much of a braking area, but turn 2 and turn 4, look at those massive long straights there. So a lot of overtaking there. Then of course the 2nd and 3rd sector is very tight and twisty, and you're not going to get much overtaking done there.
For a closer look, we got Alan Drake Cruz, who's one of those kids that you were just talking about, full of talent. Let's see how he gives us a flying lap around Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course.
Hello guys, my name is Alan. I'm going to be taking you a lap around Mid-Ohio in a Group 4. This car is quite hard to drive because you could break the transmission easily, and it's very fragile, like an old car would be. So I'm going to be starting the lap from here. We're in the second final corner. We are in the carousel, but I'm going to take you through that corner later on, through turn 13, into the start finish. When you go to 4th gear, brake here, go to 3rd late, so you'll be forced to trail and then absolutely floor it after that. A little bit slow that I did not hit the apex, but don't mind that. So coming into keyhole, you want to brake in the middle of the 2nd and 3rd to last board. Get the 2nd gear, make sure you stick close to the apex and hit it. Floor it after that, after the keyhole. Then going into this kink, make sure you hit the apex. Then after that, you go wide immediately so you can have a longer straight. Brake after the first board you see. Then you go to 3rd, engine brake to 2nd, nicely. Stay wide, lift into madness. Then you go to 3rd, shift down to 2nd, hit the curb, floor it. Into the SS, 3rd gear, lift a little bit. After that, absolutely need to floor it. Brake into 2nd. Make sure you hit the apex, off cambered corner. Really hard to nail. Coming into under valley. You're gonna be in 4th gear. Brake after that second to last board. Hit that curb, floor it immediately after that. Make sure you hit the apex. Press it into second, into carousel, and then floor it into turn 13, hit the curb, go wide, and that's a lap of Mid-Ohio.
Heck, I was going to say, isn't that cute? Instead, I'm saying, flipping heck, that was one heck of a lap, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, Drake Q is quite new to Global Edition, but he's improved so much. He's so concise and expressive and explains it better than I could any day of the week. So I was really impressed with that.
Okay, let's get on to our competition today. Ng Jun Cheng has had a sensational season. 7 races so far. This is him we're following at the moment. 4 victories, 3 second places. He can still lose the title if he has a nightmare today, but that would just be so cruel.
Yeah, it would be. I think he just needs to finish 9th. Even if he doesn't get fastest lap and Darren Ivan wins, if he finishes 9th, I think that's good enough for him to wrap up the championship.
But we have seen 1 or 2 catastrophes in our previous 5 seasons of eRGP as we get ready for qualification. It's just one race. It's one 40-minute race, reverse grid formations. You do like to mix it up a little bit, don't you?
Yeah, so this reverse grid of the championship positions as well. So no qualifying. But yeah, there we are, lining up in the grid. Hopefully it puts them in the right order because we put it in the server earlier on. And yeah, you and Kian are going to have a fun time calling this, I reckon. Okay,
so we just get ready. We've got about 20 seconds or so to go. So the man to really look out for, the man at the back of the grid, is Ng Jun Cheng. Darren Ivan is the only one with any kind of realistic chance of catching him up. He's accumulated nearly 100 points already this season, so he's already had a really good season. So we are all just about ready to get underway. When the red lights go off, we will be underway, and we will be joined by Kian Butler. We're on board, I understand, with Ng Jun Cheng. Actually, Axel Nocom is the man at the very start. Now then, somebody at the very back there, Alex. Kian has had a really, really bad start. I was thinking it was Ng Jun Cheng. It doesn't look like it is. Ng Jun Cheng has got off to a half-decent start.
Yeah, lucky for him then that it wasn't him. We had Mohammed Andani, the race winner from the bronze category in the last race in P1 there, with Azmi P2. Some argy-bargy going on here as we can see sparks flying up ahead. Too wide they go, a little bit of a shove there as it is all over the place for these drivers. A bump to the rear once again. We're on board with your championship leader who is trying to find the way past Nazir Azmin up ahead. 3 wide we go past turn 3 into turn 4 down here, where Alex mentioned there'd be some good overtaking opportunities around the outside. Goes Jun Cheng of Nazir Azman trying to fight back, but he's going to contend as well with Seiko up ahead, who is really causing some crazy action stuff.
Well, I suppose the consolation for Ng Jun Cheng, he may be at the back now, but it's a 40-minute race. Let's give some TLC to the man at the front as Arif Asli spins out. Arif was in the lead.
Has his teammate on the Stratus gone around? So that is unfortunate there. It is all over the place a little bit here as we come through the left-hander there with Azmi in that Chevrolet for Stratus Motorsport in P6 currently. Through to right-hander we go. Zini up ahead in P5. In first place now for Sim Racing Philippinas, we have Eldman in that lovely orange car with Dejanli behind it for that Malaysia car as well. To the left hand we go of turn 1, and we have Hyun in P3. Calvin Powell up in the P4 now.
Tunku Djan, who was robbed of that first ever eRGP victory, he's made a really good start.
With Lee, I'm not sure if we've lost Des here, or if we've lost me, so I'm just going to keep going here as we go through P2 now, looking for the move on P1. There you can see the straight line advantage that the Tedco racing car has down the straight. Sparks are flying for the P2 car, so it is looking like he's bottoming out a fair amount for the right-hander. Then we go. Will he be able to make the move stick? Will he be able to make something stick? No, the Valent rail wing is proving wide enough, as is the car there from Tenku in that Tedco racing car. Through the right-hander we go. Mohammed Handani, your bronze class race winner, has a slowdown penalty now. So back in P12, he has Nazir Azman ahead. He has the Singaporean driver behind. And I think we have Des back.
Yes, we do indeed. Mohammed Hamdani in P12 at the moment. We'll keep a close eye on Ng Jun Cheng though. He's manipulated his way up to P9 and no damage there. I think in the early stages, Kian, he's just going to make sure he stays out of any danger. If he stays in P9 until the end of this race, 37 minutes to go, he will be champion.
Of course, it is a 40-minute race compared to the 2 race formats that we have had in the previous categories. So it is a marathon, not a sprint, the famous words spoken by Lewis Hamilton before he had his brake magic lockup. So we'll see as we come down into turn 2 now. Around the outside looks Jun Cheng, the championship leader. Will he make something happen here on the Japanese driver ahead? Looking for the switchback, not going to happen for the right-hander then. As the Chevrolet, will he be able to open up that power on that straightaway, or will he get absolutely smoked here? Let us see here as the Japanese driver ahead, the Philippine driver behind. It's going to be a battle as he comes out, he pulls out, door closed on him as we come through into turn 4.
Some good defensive driving there from Noah So, the Japanese driver, Voltaire Seiko, Filipino behind him. Let's just go up to the front where I tell you, Tunku Djan is carrying on last week's really strong form. He's got himself a second lead over Mark Voltaire Elman, and Tunku Djan is 4th in the championship standings. I tell you what, for him, if he could get a top 3 position at the end of the season, that would be a really good return for, I suppose in these circumstances, what we must call a veteran driver.
Yeah, we have Jamli then in P1 off to a good start, and he is looking to gap the field further and further. 1.25 down to 1 second. It looks like this car is a little bit compromised in the corners, but you can just see in the straightaway it pulls and it pulls and it pulls.
Pulled away 1.3 seconds ahead of Mark Voltaire Elman on lap 4 at the moment. Tunku Djan, Mark Voltaire Elman and Justin Hung in P3. They have got themselves quite a heck of a gap as the sparks are flying. But the sparks are flying from Tunku Djan Lei. P4, 3 seconds down. The blue and yellow of Mohamed Zini for Blue Steel Racing. Now Zini had he missed the first round, had a really good second round, and we thought might be a contender, but rounds 3 and 4 weren't so good. Zini just looking to get a top 5 place at the end of the season, but a good driver nonetheless, Kian.
Yep, and we see the battle 2 wide up ahead for P2, P3 between the Hong Kong and the Philippine driver. 2 wide through the left-hander of turn 5 around China Beach into turn 6, and it looks like Voltaire Elman has, I think, managed to defend the position there as we have the Hong Kong driver behind a little bit sideways there through that right-hander or left-hander into the right-hander and onto the grass a little bit there, but a bit of a good battle there we see ahead as Jan Lee continues to pull the gap now to 2 seconds.
Yeah, Jan Lei has the lead. Coming through the S's, Kian. Difficult to overtake there. It's just really important to get yourself in a good position to make a challenge, I suppose, coming out of the technical part of the course.
Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting one. If you can get yourself to the inside of turn 6 and then stay with him through turn 7 and 8, you end up on the inside of turn 9 on the run down front the Vale towards the carousel once again. So there are a couple of ways that you can make a move and try and hope that it sticks, but it really comes down to positioning and how well you understand the preceding and the following corners on this track.
We just saw the first 5 in shot there. Mohamed Zini and Arif Azmi, one-time leader. He is down in P5. Darren Ivan Rajan went into this race with a possibility of sneaking the title, but it needed him to have a really good start, and it needed the championship leader Jun Cheng to have a poor start. Darren Ivan though had a dreadful start. He's down in P12.
Yeah, and he's almost left the door open a little bit there for Nazir Asman, so he has to be careful. He has to be hoping for a disconnect from the P6 runner currently, but Darren Ivan Rajan for Blue Steel Racing has to be starting to make moves up the field, and it looks like right now his pace might just not be quite there.
Really good battle going on in the middle. Axel Nokam in the first of the BMWs. He's just defending there. He is the bronze champion, but he's defending for his life from Kelvin Pau and Voltaire Seiko just there. But the champion showing that he will be an asset to the silver class next season.
Yeah, Axel Nokam putting his elbows out, making sure that he holds on to that P7. Of course, he's been passed by the championship leader already, but we see that, and actually, of interesting note is that Kelvin Powers also in the bronze race previous in the Porsche, so in the somewhat inferior machinery. So these two now in the same machinery, looking out side by side on the track. This will be interesting to watch.
Really will be. We'll revisit that, as you mentioned, just ahead of them. Ng Jun Cheng has got himself nicely into P6, out of any danger. The first 8 minutes of this race happily negotiated. A P9 will secure him his title, but he has not been out of the top 2 all season. So Ng Jun Cheng, I'm sure Kian will be looking for a top 2 place.
Well, we're only 10 minutes into this race and he's already up to P6, so I would not put it past the man, the championship leader, Jun Cheng, to make the moves he needs to get into that top 2 for this race.
Let's talk about the top 2 and where we have got Tunku Djan, whose lead has stretched to a race best 2 seconds at the moment. Mark Voltaire, Elman and Justin Hung are scrapping out behind him, but look at that. He's the only man in shot as he comes around this right-hand corner. Mark Voltaire, Elman is looking behind him rather than in front of him, because that's the scrap for second place. Voltaire, Elman in P2, Justin Hung from Hong Kong in P3, and beyond them, Mohamed Zini, he's made up about a second over the last 2 laps.
Hello, my friend Jägermeister. We're on board with Voltaire Elman, looking backwards towards Hung again. As we saw, as Des mentioned, Jan Lee has pulled 2 seconds. It is down to 1.6 as we have just gone through the technical sections there, where his car seems to be a little bit impaired compared to the other drivers. But we see a couple of battles up and down the field. It is starting to spread out a little bit, though. You get the feeling that it is just starting to be a bit of a procession, although with the championship leader closing in behind. We actually go down to Mohamed Hamdani now in P11 for FSA Racing. With ahead, the Japanese driver. Will he be looking for a move? He is nosing up the inside. Will he make it stick? He decides against the lunge here, but deep goes and it is looking like there is the potential for a move, but we know that has the slightly faster car in the straight line speed, the same car in fact as Jan Lee. So, will he be able to pull away? And in fact, I stand corrected, because here comes Hamdani. He's closing in the straights, up into the inside. Can he look? No, he's going to stick in behind of P4, sorry. Turn 5 now, up the inside. He is looking, and it is, again, not going to be quite there. So, doing a good job defending so far. Hamdani is really starting to put pressure on him, though, and that is opening the door as well for Ivan Rayan.
Darren Ivan Rayan, we've not really mentioned him. There he is in the blue. He's actually gone through inside Hamdani. That must feel like daylight robbery for Mohamed Hamdani, because Darren Ivan, who needs to win nothing else to have even the remotest chance of the title, he could actually even lose his second place that he has in the standings if he finishes this low down. So this is an important 10 minutes coming up for Darren Ivan Rajan and Blue Steel Racing. As he crosses the line, he's about to start his 9th lap, way out in front. 3 seconds now, Tunku Djan. He just eats up these straights, Kian.
Yeah, he is absolutely flying down these straights. It is crazy how much he's able to pull. 3.5 seconds now. So even if drivers like Rayan, even if drivers like Jun Cheng manage to get to the front, they have now inherently built in a 4-second gap that they need to try and close down to the race leader.
One man who has made a move up, though, is Mohamed Zini. At one stage he was 3 seconds down on Justin Hung, but the Singaporean has got himself an awful lot closer. As I said, he had a couple of race wins in Brno in the Czech Republic in round 2, and here, as we approach the 15-minute mark of this race, he's closing on a podium position as well. Justin Hung has lost a little bit of form, and Zini has been able to catch up that ground.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of a squiggle there, a little bit of a squabble, a bit of a scrabble there from Hung up ahead. We saw him go a little bit sideways there. He is only 1.6 seconds behind P2 sitter Voltaire Railman, but it is going to be these three battling it out for this second place so far. Hung now has to try and find whatever pace he has in his pocket, close up to Voltaire Railman, and hope that he is able to pass him before Zini comes up. But Zini closing at a rate of knots now. It is going to be close, and I can't wait to see this one heat up a little bit.
We'll follow that squibble, squabble, squabble as it goes to Kian. Bit of Perth lingo for you there. Ng Jun Cheng, he's in P5 and is really enjoying his race at the moment. Remember, at one stage he was right down at the bottom of the grid. He got off to a decent start, avoided the problems that have afflicted Mohammed Khalif, and now he's closing in. He's 5 seconds down on Zini, but he is closing in. I've got to go back because Zini has made his move and he's just bashed Justin Hung off the circuit. Mohammed Zini up to P3, Kian Butler.
Oh, that was a little bit dangerous. We didn't see what happened beforehand. I suspect that maybe a little bit of netcode, a little bit of side-by-side action there. We were unfortunately robbed of it. But Zini now up in the P3, and he's going to be trying to close the gap to the P2 driver from the Philippines and hope that he can, if he can, pass him, get past, and try and close the gap to Jan Lee.
Just looking at the last lap, and Tunku Djan a 1:31.3 was 0.8 seconds faster than anybody else on the circuit. That's why his lead has gone up to a massive 4.8 seconds. He's driving fast, but also very consistently, Kian.
Yeah, as it comes across the line now, where we see that time update, it is the 1:30.83 for the previous lap. And it looks like he's managing to put in another spectacular lap. He is really pulling away. It's quite interesting coming into this race because we didn't get the chance to see qualifying, which meant that we are a fair amount blinded to a lot of the drivers' true pace compared to what we would normally see leading into the race.
Indeed, that normally gives us an idea. Qualification, no qualification today, just to explain. It was based upon reverse championship positions for the start. That's Alex Young making life very difficult for the racers, but that's his job and he does it well. Let's have a look at the bronze champion, Axel Nokong. He's still in that battle royale, the BMW trio. Axel Nokong in the gold, Kelvin Powell behind him, and Voltaire Seiko. They have been racing like this, wheel to wheel. The best part of 3 laps now, Kian.
Yeah, and look at that now as well. Ivan Rayan is closing in behind, so these 3 drivers are giving him an opportunity to try and make it happen. And as I say that, almost a spin there for Ivan Rayan, the half spin for the booster driver there. But we see Axel Nokong is going defensive as Kelvin Powell starts to make a move, starts to look around, try to find a weakness in his armor. Axel Nokong has to be said doing a great job defending, but look at that. Just compared to the leader, Jan Lee, 32.6 versus a 30.8. 1.8 seconds a lap slower for Axel Nokong right now. So that could come down to the car, but it could come down to the mega performance that Jan Lee is putting in right now.
As we approach the midpoint of this race, a quick shout out to our sponsors, Edifice Casio, the official timekeepers, Xbox and Royal Selangor, who will be handing out the prizes a little bit later on at the end of this season. Back onto the racing, and that trio of BMWs, we will follow them, but Darren Ivan's lost a little bit of ground. The battle for P3 is hotting up again, Kian. Zini this time, the man under pressure from Justin Hung.
Yeah, so Zini trying to pull away from Hung there. The Hong Kong driver doing everything he can to reclaim that position as Zini has had a stormer of his way up the field, and he is doing everything he can now. It is up to 7 tenths in that straight. We will see if Hung can make his way through the corners that little bit quicker, that little bit smoother, that little bit faster, and break away at that lead that Zini has over him. It is down to 2 tenths now, so we could see something happen as we come through the right-hander into the S's, under the Honda walk over, as we come through the right-hander now of turn 9 into, or now is a turn 9 rather, into Thunder Vale, which will have the fast right-hand kink into 11 and then the carousel. So I have to think now that Zini has got that position down pat, but Hung could try and make something happen here.
Yeah, he did defend very well. That's the joy of Mid-Ohio, isn't it? It's virtually 2 circuits. You've got your long, straight, sweeping half of the circuit, and then you go into the S's and the left and the right-handers. So it does give different drivers and different cars a kind of equal chance. I do like this circuit.
It's been a stormer. It's been pretty exciting so far, as Zini is not managing to pull away the gap that we thought he would to Hung behind. The Hong Kong driver doing everything he can as we come into the keyhole now. Will he look for something? Will we see some later apexes? Look at these lines, look at the differences, look how much more mid-corner speed Justin Hung is able to carry. He's closed right onto the back of Zini now, and Zini he's going to be thinking, man, all I want to do right now is close up to the driver ahead, but I've got this thorn in my side, and he is absolutely causing me a bit of a pinch.
And with the commentary as Zini again feels the pressure from the BMW. I love these old vehicles. I love the old Group 5s. Have you had a chance to race them in sim or even real life, Kian? Probably too young.
I think the closest I managed to get is Forza Motorsport 7 on the controller way back in the day. So not quite experienced with these cars, but I can tell you they've got a lot of power and not always the adhesion that you want to get it around the corner. So these drivers are doing a great job of controlling the car the way they are.
We just saw a little bit of a wiggle there from Justin Hung, just to prove your point. Let's go up to the race leader, Tunku Djan. Last week he was involved in a thrilling manoeuvre on the last lap, but was denied that because he was a little bit naughty in that thrilling manoeuvre. This time, Kian, he's trying to make sure there will not be any doubt that he is the man in charge. We're approaching halfway, and he's got a huge 5.5 second lead.
Yeah, he's looking back at last week thinking, alright, I wanted to make the race a little bit more exciting for you guys to watch on the stream. But if that's not what you want, I'm going to make it super boring and pull out a 6-second gap to the car in second. What a brilliant drive so far.
Do we have pit stops? I'm trying to remember in the rules. Yes, we do. So pit stops are coming up around about now. That'll be interesting. Everybody's on the soft compound tyre at the moment. Oh, I can tell you, Axel Nocom is out. Axel Nocom is out. Now, is that just a pit stop? It doesn't look like a pit stop. It looks like he's out of the game.
Yeah, potentially a disconnect there for Axel Nocom, so that is very unfortunate there for your bronze driver that is in a silver class and will be in silver for the entirety of the season next year. But it is looking like we're starting to get towards that pit window. Who will we see blink first? I don't think there's going to be much chance of seeing Zhan Lei come in first, because if he does, he's going to get caught up in some battles further down the field. So he's going to want to wait, try and overcut everyone, and come out in a position of free air.
Well, Justin Hung is losing time. Hand over fist. He's going backwards. Oh, no, it's not that bad. It was maybe just going around that corner. I thought he'd lost a lot of time on Mohamed Zini, and then suddenly he's 6/10 in. That battle between Elman, Zini and Justin Hung, that'll be the one where I think you were talking about who blinks first. That could be so crucial. Would your philosophy be to leave your pit stop as late as you possibly can, Kian?
I think the trigger and the grenade here is going to be Zini. So if I'm Zini and I start seeing Hung come up behind me and start challenging me, I'm going to want to get in that pit right away, because I don't want to lose time to the driver ahead. But alternatively, if I start closing up to Voltaire Ilman, I could try and see an undercut, as we see our championship leader here, Jun Cheng, the first man in the pits. So he is going to try and undercut a lot of the drivers up ahead. Of course, there is another risk that he's going to come out, and he couldn't be far enough behind the field to where he comes out in free air anyway. But if he doesn't, then he could be held up by those drivers towards the end of the pack. And we actually have another driver. Oh, here comes Jun Cheng coming out now. He's coming out in P9, and interestingly, I've just realized Nazir Asman already made his pit stop early in the race. So, where he may have been a fair ways off, he is actually going to maybe come out in a pretty good positioning.
Well, there is Nazir Asman, who was a long way down. Voltaire Seiko gets a slowdown penalty. But I can confirm Axel Nocom is out of the race. Let's get back to Voltaire Seiko. Sorry, that was him in shot. So the Voltaire Seiko battle is just a two-way battle. He's in P7 at the moment, the Filipino. That is Kelvin Pau, I think, just in front of him. Indeed it is. But he's right on the tail there of Kelvin Pau. And the Malaysian won't be too thrilled about that. I love the look of these old BMWs. Into the pits goes Kelvin Pau.
Wow, okay, it looked like the Seiko was going to do whatever Kelvin Pau didn't do. And Pau left it pretty late to make the decision to go into the pit, so that's why you might have seen that really late line there from Seiko. Almost thinking, oh wow, no, I need to stay out and try and overcut. So here comes Seiko then, trying to pull out the lap of legends that he can and try and go for that overcut there. But we're going to see whether or not Kelvin Pau can come out and secure that position as well. Hung has come to the pits now. Zini has stayed out. And Voltaire Ilman is out. So Hung could try the undercut here on both Zini and Voltaire Ilman, as these two are going to be losing time to each other, battling on the track now.
Well, yeah, but the interesting thing for me on this one, Kian, is Zini has pulled right up onto the tailgate of Mark Walter Ellman. Remember, Zini at one stage was 3 seconds drift in P3. He's been able to claw all of that time back. And now Mark Walter Ellman, who was nice and safe in P2, is suddenly under a vast amount of pressure, has a big decision to make. Does he stay out? Does he try and hold off Zini, or does he go into the pits and gamble?
Yeah, Zini almost has it really easy here. Do what Ellman doesn't. And Ellman goes into the pits, and he does exactly what I said not to do. Follow him in. So that really gives Zini, well, kind of loses him whatever chance he had of trying to pull an undercut or overcut. But you almost have to think that he had to do that because Hung came in, got fresh air, and now we're going to see on this outlap whether or not Hung is going to be able to get past Zini and Volte Ilmen. Let's see if there's any fuel involved in these stops, because that could change how long the stops take. Let's see how these two come out relative to each other. We are with Zhan Lei, who is in the lead now, 26 seconds adrift. So he's really not going to be troubled by anyone when he comes to the pits. He has free reign over his strategy today.
So Zhan Lei has the lead there. So Mark Walter Ellman is out in double quick time. So,
wow.
And Zini is a long, long way down. That's a 6 second differential. That's huge.
So, what could have happened here is that, man, I think this could make it interesting. So, I think what Volte Ilman might have done, as Zini runs deep, and it's going to get position there to Hung, or as he comes by. So, Zini loses position on the outlap. Cold tires, makes a mistake. He's going to have to try and make it back down the straight line here as he sweeps around the outside of turn 3. Getting ready for turn 4. Will he be able to make the move around the outside stick? In fact, he might be all the way ahead into braking zone, but no, he is not. Hung holds the inside here around the outside, looking into the inside of turn 5, but Zini is going to be shown the way of getting out of the way, and it is now Zini in P5. But as I was alluding to before, I think what Volte Ilman might have done is I think he might have only taken half tires. So he might have only changed the front or the rear, which would have given him that 6 second gap. As you can see, that gap's starting to close down between the drivers a little bit. But this could come into play towards the end of the race.
That's a gamble though, isn't it? Because there's 15 minutes still to race. Fresh tyres, admittedly, as Voltaire Seiko goes into the pits, and I can tell you, Tunku Djan is in the pits as well. But the differential between changing all 4 tyres and changing just 2, that might have real repercussions in the last 2 or 3 laps of this race.
Yeah, it comes down to the question, do you prefer track position or do you prefer the better adhesion? Clearly, then Volte Ilman has made the decision that he prefers the track position, and as I say that, he's into P1, so he's past Zhan Lei now as well, so Zhan Lei has to make 8 seconds up on Volte Ilman. So Volte Ilman, it could be a brilliant move in the pits. It could be a move that he will come to regret at the end of the race. But either way, with 15 minutes left to go, he is 7.7 seconds in the lead.
That is absolutely remarkable what has happened there. Because Tunku Djan, he's taken all 4 tyres, so they're 4 fresh tyres for the last 15 minutes. But as you rightly say, Mark Walter Ellman has pinched. Well, it's not only the 7 seconds lead he has, but he was 5 seconds down. So effectively, it's a 12-second turnaround based upon the pits by Mark Walter Ellman. It's either brilliant or catastrophic.
Well, this is going to come down to the wire, isn't it? We might see some punctures on that last lap. I wonder whether he's taken front or rear tires. Rear tires would make a little bit more sense because you'd think you'd spin those up a little bit more and wear them down quicker, but those front tires would give you better grip in the corners. So I'm interested to see which ones he's taken. Maybe if we find out in an interview after the race. But to come for the right-hander now, Mohamed Zini in P4 after losing that position with a mistake on the outlap. A little bit of a wobble there from Hung in P3, the last of the podium places right now. And Zhan Lei is actually a lot closer to Volte Ilman. A lot closer to Hung and Zini than he was before the pits. So maybe he was running with lower fuel at the start and then had to take fuel in the pit stops as well. So many different strategies coming in this race, Des.
Absolutely superb. The man who leads the championship though, Ng Jun Cheng, he's closing in as well. He's only 3.5 seconds down on Zini with 12.5 minutes to go. Well, he's leaving it late to get a podium, but he's certainly not out of the fight. But the story is this man from the Philippines, Mark Voltaire Elman. He is a veteran of ERGP, but he's rarely been in the top. He has had a race victory in the past, but only one in his career so far. So he is taking a mighty big gamble to try to get top spot. Can he hold on for the final 12 minutes?
Oh, he's not losing that much time right now, so he's either taking a lot of life out of his tires, trying to push as hard as he can, or he's just feeling really comfortable. But I have to say right now, this race feels like an accordion outstretch, getting ready to push in, give us all the noise, and put on a show. This is so good so far.
Love that analogy, very good. A 1:31.8 from Mark Voltaire Elman. And look at that lead, 7.25 seconds still. He hasn't lost any time on Tunku Djan. So you could be dead right about Tunku carrying a little bit more weight, because Tunku is under pressure from Justin Hung. And Justin Hung is under pressure from Mohamed Zini. And so these are now the battle for P3, as we saw Elman disappearing out into the corner. Wow, the pit stops have really made a difference in this race.
Seems like they've just thrown the table out, thrown the book out, and just said we're going to write our own now, as Justin Hung makes the same mistake that Zini made earlier on the outlap, and that allows Zini past into P3, so almost saying, you know what, you made the mistake earlier, I'm going to make the same one now, that way we're even, and we can do it on merit. Was that Zini back into P3.
Was that a genuine mistake, or was it a traction problem? He just didn't have decent, because I think Justin Hung also had a quick pit stop, so he might have only changed 2 tyres as well, as he spins again, having real control problems.
Yeah, so that almost tells you that he changed those front tyres to put him with the balance a lot more towards the front, and maybe would have been spinning out a little bit more. As we can see, he's really working at that steering wheel, those sparkle gloves that we see in the game. Another little thing there, as Jun Cheng, your championship leader, has a slowdown penalty for track limits abuse. So he is going to have to slow down a little bit compared to where he was before. A 1:30.7, so he has actually managed to go faster than Zhan Lei was before. So this could come down right to the wire. It is 8 tenths towards Zini and Zhan Lei. It is 1 second between Hung and Zini. 3.8 separate Jun Cheng. And it's still 7 seconds between Zhan Lei and Voltaire Elman. So the gaps are coming down slowly, but not as much as they need to between these drivers.
And that clock is now inside 10 minutes. We're more than 3/4 through that race. And look at that. There's Elman on the long straight. Little kink to the right. Behind them, Tunku Djan has just reduced a little bit. He's taken off half a second on the last lap. He had a 31.5 compared to a 32.0 from Mark Voltaire Elman. But Zini is now making a move on Tunku Djan. Fascinating stuff.
Through the right hand, we go into turn 5. On the left hand side, you can see China Beach, but it is no time for realization for either of these drivers. As for the right hand, we go. Zhan Lei is closing that gap a little bit to Voltaire Elman, but Zini has done an even better job of closing that gap. So maybe Elman now starting to lose a little bit of tires, but Zini, who did take, it seems, all 4 tires in the pit stop, is closing in, is going to be mounting a challenge on Zhan Lei, is going to be wanting to take that P2 and maybe even push on the P1. But it is crucial now for Zini to try and make the move past Zhan Lei, and it is crucial for Zhan Lei to try and hold up Zini as much as possible.
Really good stuff, and it's important as well in the championship standings, because Darren Ivan, credit to Darren Ivan, he's got himself up into P6, second in the championship standings. This might well be enough for him to hold on to a second, because Voltaire Seiko is struggling a little bit. Voltaire Seiko down in P9. Tunku Djan and Zini, they are the other two who are chasing a top 3 slot in the championship standings. But it's a good recovery this by the Singaporean, because at one stage down was down in P14 and looked right out of it.
Yeah, indeed. He's done a good job of getting back up to P6 for his team, Blue Steel Racing, today. Further up the grid, we have Zini has pulled back a little bit from Zhan Lei. A bit further down, Hamdani 5 tenths behind Azmi. It is looking a little bit processional right now. Can something spark up between these two drivers here? We are on board with P8 currently. Best lap of 32.0, so it shows a little bit of the pace differential up and down the field. These two cars in identical liveries.
Tell you what, Kian, Tunku Djan is now down to within 6 seconds. He is closing fast upon the race leader Mark Voltaire Elman. The last lap he took another 4 tenths off, so he's taking 4 tenths off each lap. That won't be enough for him to get the race win, but if he can start making that a second a lap, or a second and a half a lap over these last, what have we got? We've still got 5 laps or so to go, haven't we? He's not out of it, you know.
He's not out of it. He's not out of the count. Zhan Lei has pulled the gap now down to 6 seconds, so he's pulled the pin, and he's trying not only to keep Zini behind, but close up now to Voltaire Elman in that Tedco car. It is a very nice livery, so is the one behind. Will we see them a little bit more banged up and scratched up by the end of the race? Time will only tell. 4 tenths between Zini and Zhan Lei. 3 seconds now back is Hung, so you can kind of tell that his tires have gone off the cliff. So the gamble that he made, maybe not paying off. Elman's gamble, though, so far, paying off, but 5.5 seconds is the gap. Zini down the straight into P, turn 4 now. Will he be able to make the move? No. It's Zhan Lei again, manages to outbrake, but through the corner, so much more mid-corner speed from Zini there. Will he be able to go through the left-hander of 5 into 6 and make the move stick? It's not looking like it so far. Zhan Lei doing everything he can to try and keep that car behind, and Zini trying to make sure that he can do everything he can to get Zhan Lei behind. What an interesting battle.
It is, it's cracking. As per the sponsors, a valiant effort, a valiant rearguard effort by Tunku Djan. There is how close they are. That's the battle for P2. They are making ground, but very, very slowly on Mark Voltaire Elman. Elman's pit stop strategy was risky, but as time counts down, unless he has a puncture in the last lap or so, because they're all on soft compounds, that means possibly his 2 rear tyres for Mark Voltaire Elman will have to do this whole race, and that is risky, Kian.
Yeah, Zhan Lei through the left-hander. Zini through the left-hander. It seems like Zini has a little bit more pace in his pocket than Zhan Lei right now, but he's just not finding a way past the Malaysian driver ahead. He noses up the inside a little bit there, pokes his head up, and is not going to be quite there. You can see just how close he's getting to the driver ahead. Will he have the straight line speed this time around? We've seen it have a little bit more than the driver ahead here and there before. So as we come through turn 3 now, getting ready to see, they can see China Beach up ahead. Will Zini see his salvation? Up the inside, he tries again, looking for a little bit of a nose, but nothing there. Zhan Lei doing everything he has to, but 4.5 seconds is the gap now at the P1. These two, despite battling, are still closing the gap. So this could come down to the wire. If they can take a second out of Voltaire Elman every minute, this could happen. And Elman is going quite slow now. So this is interesting stuff.
It is.
Comes down to the wire.
He has slowed right down Mark Voltaire Elman. A 1:32.0 last lap, but he does look like he's beginning to struggle. Just a little bit of back wheel wobble there as he goes round. The gap is down inside 4.5 seconds. I think after this lap there will be another 3 still to go. So, and you can see the race is on now. The gap between Elman and Tunku Djan is down to just 2 seconds it got down to. But it is closing straight on straight, corner on corner, lap on lap. This is going down to the wire.
I can tell you right now, if I was making any sort of guess on this race, I'd say it'd come right down to the wire, 3 wide across the line. Why the hell not? That'd be such a great way to finish off silver in this class. As we come down now, Mark Voltaire Elman, gap 3.7 seconds. Zini, 4 tenths behind Zhan Lei. And again, I think now Zini might have backed off a little bit, just thinking, wait a second, we have a chance at P1 and P2 here. It doesn't matter if I take P2 from you, let's just go mug it off the guy in first.
It's that kind of devious mind that marks out a proper sim racer. Well done, Kian. Let's mention Ng Jun Cheng though. This is the man who will be champion. If he rolls home happily in 5th place, he will definitely be champion. In fact, the only disappointment for Ng Jun Cheng will be the fact that he will be out of a podium for the first time this season. 7 races, 4 firsts, 3 seconds, and this 5th. But what a season he has had. We've rather ignored him a little bit, Kian, but wax lyrical, please, over Ng Jun Cheng.
Yeah, I would not count him out of that podium position just yet. We see how much everyone is closing up to each other. There could very well be a scrap in that last lap that leaves someone stranded off, and Hung as well is proving a little bit slower. So I don't know, he's got 2 minutes. Can he make something happen? But this man, he has done a brilliant job so far in the championship, and he will be crowned the champion as long as he pulls over in that P5 position. So barring any disconnects, barring any mechanical failures, barring his brakes coming off, which I have won a race off of someone else doing before, he will come across the line happy and healthy and better off for it.
Back up at the front, Mark Walter Elman, the lead inside 3 seconds. Oh, it's getting scary. Oh, Mark Walter Elman, squeaky bum type for the Filipino. He can see them in his wing mirror.
He can, and this is the penultimate lap here. So the Jägermeister is being pulled over, and he is being pulled in by the 2 cars behind. Jaeger meeting Chaser, but today he is the chased man, and he will be trying to hold off. He's gotta make sure that he holds off as much as he can. If he gets to the point where he is battling, he will surely lose out, because those tires seem like they have nothing left in them, down to the carcass, and hopefully they stay in one piece, because imagine a puncture on that last lap and how devastating it would be as you come through the roundabout for the second to last time of asking. You're the left-hander, Zini here, Janley ahead, and P1 2 seconds up the road. This is now for the win on the last lap.
This is a last lap sprint for home, or it's a last desperate plea. Please, tyres, hold on. Mark Walter Elman took a gamble, a really risky strategy. Has he done it just about right? At the moment, it's looking good, but he's on his last lap, and that time is coming down. Inside 2 seconds for the first time in a long time. Tunku Djan chasing his first victory of the season, having been robbed of one last week by his own impudence, I suppose. But now that gap is 1.3 seconds. Mohamed Zini has been dropped. Tunku Djan Kian is going for this. Tunku Djan has closed within 1.5 seconds.
Through turn 5, getting ready for turn 6 now, 1.5 seconds. Zini's out of the picture. He has made a mistake or had a puncture or something like that. He is now 1.5 seconds back. Janley can see, he can smell the car ahead. 1.5 seconds, but Elman doing everything else in 2 seconds now, 1.9. He is absolutely driving the heck out of that car. Who cares if he didn't make a tire change? Who cares if he managed to get his way to the front through clever strategy and manipulation of the numbers? He comes through that right-hander now. He comes through a roundabout into the final corner. He will come across the line. The race winner in the last round of the Silver Class Global Edition. Janley comes across the line in P2. Zini rounds at the podium. P4 for Hung, and P5, it looks like, for your championship winner, Jun Cheng.
So Justin Hung in 4, Ng Jun Cheng comes through, as you say, in P5. Excellent commentary, a nice little rotation for the cameras, a little bit of rubber burn, because there is your champion. Your race winner is Mark Walter Elman. Your champion is Ng Jun Cheng. Alex Young, take it over. And I think first and foremost, we should talk to Ng Jun Cheng and then see if we can find out what happened up at the front.
Yeah, absolutely. What an exciting race it was to watch. Mark Elman, what a great strategy, great win for him. Very pleased for him. I think that's his second win in eRGP. But we have to talk to the man of the hour, the man of the season here in Global Edition 6, Ng Jun Cheng. Jun Cheng, you finished 5 today, you finished in 5th position, but you are now the silver champion.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. How do you feel?
Yeah, I feel great. Been trying for at least 3 seasons. Finally, this is the time I finished.
Yeah. Mohamed Zini there at the fastest lap. There are the results of the finishes. But Jun Cheng, I mean, it's been a tricky season. What has made the difference? Because you have improved a lot during the season.
Yeah. I've been practicing a lot.
So it's practice. Practice makes perfect.
Yes, every single day I practice.
Okay.
Brilliant stuff, Zini. The only slight downer is that you lose out your perfect record. You had a podium in every single race, but I suppose if we start you at the back of the grid, it makes life very difficult for you.
Yeah, and then there was an unfortunate accident that Khalif having some issue with his wheel, and then Darren got hit with him, and then I got hit with Darren.
Yeah, I think Khalif said they had a wheel failure just at the start, and that's why he was out. So shame for Mohammed Khalif. But wow, that's good stuff. Because if you'd been knocked out of the race, that would have been your championship over and done with. So it's must have been heart and mouth stuff.
Yep.
But real consistency. Congratulations to our silver edition champion in season 6, Ng Jun Cheng.
Congratulations.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And a great way, Mark Walter Elman. I don't know whether you've able to get him on a line. I'd love to know his strategy, because it was really risky. Kian called it perfectly to say just change the 2 tyres, but it was a 12-second differential, Alex, on the pit stops.
Yeah, and I'm just reading on some of the feedback on Facebook that Darren Ivan had his region was engine suspension damage from Khalif when Khalif's wheel failed. But Elman, great strategy. Unfortunately, we don't have him on Zoom at the moment, so we can't talk to him. So he's kind of disappeared. But I know him; he'll be there going, "Oh, I enjoyed that." And great strategy. Right idea to change 2 tires, because the gain in the pit stop was huge. So very pleased for the Filipino.
And a final thought, Tunku Djan, bridesmaid again.
What does he have to do to get his first win? He should have won 2 races by now in this season. So shame for Djan. But I'm so impressed with Tunku Djan. Tunku Djan is a world-renowned drifter, and he's a jack of all trades. He races everything, and he's quick in everything. But he's old school, a bit like me. And he's come to the sim racing world, and he's just improved and improved and improved. And he's winning races in silver now, which shows how good he's become.
Fantastic. Well, he's not winning races.
Well, almost.
But a great effort from Tunku Djan, great effort from Mark Walter Elman. Many congratulations, though, to our silver champion, Ng Jun Cheng.